Guys, what is going on? The Bulls, your Chicago Bulls won a crazy game over the 76ers tonight. I am still trying to catch my breath. The Bulls are 6-1 on the season, undefeated at home so far. 76ers started this game dominating. They got off to a hot start. They ended up with a 24-point lead at one point. And Tyrese Maxey was knocking everything down. It felt like every shot was going for the Sixers. On the other side, it felt like we couldn't buy a bucket. We couldn't get a shot going in the first half at all. The Bulls did make a little bit of a run there at the end of the second quarter, and you could see some momentum starting to pick up. Hopefully, in our minds at halftime, second half, we can make this more of a competitive game. But the third quarter, it was like back and forth. Every time the Bulls started to make a little bit more ground, it felt like the Sixers had a response to that. And then the fourth quarter comes around, and I posted the win probability. I think the win probability really speaks for it all. You can see that towards the end of the second, in the second rather, they started to make a little bit of a run, started to make a little bit of a dent, but the Sixers kept fighting them off and kept fighting them off into the third quarter, keep fighting them off. And then fourth quarter, just like little by little, by little, by little, by little, and then by a fucking lot right there at the end. They got a bunch of stops right there towards the end. Good clutch defense from players. Isaac Okoro, can't speak enough about how clutch his defense was. Probably his best game as a Bull so far tonight. You got to give a shout out, obviously, to Madas. Madas is one of our best defenders. Nikola Vucevic was getting his hands into those passing lanes. He was disrupting Joel Embiid. He was making life hard for Embiid. Shout out to Trey Jones. Trey Jones was there making good defensive plays. Patrick Williams came in and gave you some good defensive minutes. And doing this all without Ayo Dosunmu. Just super, super impressive stuff top to bottom for the Bulls here. Let's go to the box score. Let's take a look at the stats. Let's see. So, Okoro, 16, which is good. He's a defensive first player. Good to see him scoring a little bit. 3 for 6 from 3, which is really, really positive for, we need a solid 3-and-D reliable kind of player, and he can be that. Kevin Huerter, another dude who played some good defensive minutes. Dude had 2 blocks. We'll get to the tape later. Kevin Huerter had a crazy block in the second half, stare down. Just really, really encouraging stuff from players that you don't usually expect defense from. Even Josh Giddey getting involved on defense. Had a couple of good defensive possessions, had a steal. But Josh Giddey was the story offensively for sure. 29 points, 15 rebounds, 12 assists. 3 of those rebounds were offensive. 10 for 19 from the field for 52%. 2 for 4 from 3. A great night for Giddey. He was getting to the line even. He got some free throws. You cannot speak highly enough of the development that Josh Giddey has made offensively from last season to this season. And even, I would even say, going back to the trade deadline last season, kind of that post All-Star break run that the Bulls went on, you saw the makings of the player that you're now seeing consistently with Josh Giddey, and he deserves a ton of credit for that, man. This is back-to-back games with at least 29 points, right? He had 30 the other day. It's just great. It's really impressive. And you committed a bunch of money to him. Hopefully that money starts to look like an underpay as we get further into the contract. That was the bet that the Bulls were kind of banking on, and probably why we saw the restricted free agency negotiations draw out as long as they did. The Bulls knew that this could happen, that he could blow up this season and have a really, really big year, and then they'd have to pay him even more money. But he's getting paid a lot of money. We're happy for Josh. We're happy for the Bulls. Huge win. The kind of win that, reaffirms some of the doubt. We had a really hot start to the season, and then, we lose the second game to the Knicks, starting to feel like, okay, well, without Ayo, it's the back-to-back against the same team. Normal to lose a game like that. Then you start this game off with such a dud. They came out and they looked so lethargic to start this game. It looked like the Bulls really just They were emotionally, like the energy wasn't there. They weren't fully into the game. And then they make the run at the end of the game and you start to feel a little bit more comfortable. Like, oh shit, if they can win a game like that, if they can win a game that they were down by 24 points, that means they're always in the game. No matter what you're watching, if they're getting blown out, they're still technically in the game, and you got to give them that respect. And tonight, I think the Sixers did kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit. I think the Sixers were like, all right, we got them where we want them. And you saw, they started missing some shots, taking some bad shots. Embiid was having some really tough times against Vucevic. Embiid and Vucevic were going at it, and Embiid was just not getting the best of him as hard as he tried. So, I think there's a little bit of that, but the Bulls also just played really, really hard and came back in this game like a hurricane, like a thunderstorm. They rolled right back and they didn't look back. I think that's another key point to this, is that when the Bulls got that momentum towards the end of the fourth quarter, they were getting stops. They were getting some buckets offensively, crawling back into the game. They kept pushing. They saw that there was blood in the water. They smelled the blood in the water, and they were able to win the game. And that's just, it was some beautiful basketball, very exhilarating. The Bulls did this. Today's Tuesday. The Bulls do this on Tuesday evening. On Sunday afternoon, the Bears did this, and it's like up and down all game. The fourth quarter was wonky. Like the Bengals are going to win twice. The Bengals are going to win, and then the Bears come back, and then the Bengals are going to win again, and then the Bears win. And the Bulls did it. Bulls did their own version of that. But a little bit, I would say this was a little bit more unlikely. Being down 24 points. The Bears and the Bengals had been going back all game. The Bulls didn't lead at all until the end of the game. They didn't have a lead until they won the game. I mean, that's crazy, We got some people in the chat. What's up, folks? How we doing, Moose? Scoro, how you guys doing? Embiid, yeah, lots of bad shots. Herter's defense, shocking surprise. Kevin Herter. We're going to watch some tape in a bit. Kevin Herter has played really impressive defense this season. He's had a couple of missed assignments here and there. There have been a couple of moments where you're like, okay, maybe he, got beat, got crossed up, something like that. But you've seen his ability to recover when he loses track of his assignment. He's good at recovering, and he's good at bodying up and getting blocks. He times those blocks well. He hasn't been getting fooled on shot fakes. I mean, that's really the most, like, you're getting more than you probably were asking for from Herter defensively right now. Yeah, so I mean, doing this without Kobe and Io, doing this without Zach Collins, so you're losing size, but you're also losing speed and scoring. There were some really, really strong defensive possessions, I thought, from Trey Jones, who I felt like, again, has been a very heavy presence on both ends of the floor for this team. And I know another player who has had moments where, you feel like maybe he's getting out of the game a little bit. You start to feel, maybe like he's getting cold. But Trey, to his credit, fought through that, and he had some nice buckets there in the second half too. Yeah, just up and down, like they're doing it as a team. I know we've talked about it ad nauseum at this point. We've talked so much about the fact that they're doing this as a team, but it really is a team effort. And I think it really does deserve to be called out whenever you see it. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in double digits. Jalen Smith off of the bench, another good game for him, and another guy there, right, where you felt like there were times early this season where maybe he wasn't playing up to the potential or playing the way that you remember him playing last season at times, and they've shaken that rust off, and they've been able to put out a very consistent this is the most consistent we've seen this team in a very long time on both ends of the floor. They're playing their game, they're sticking to what they know works, and they're going back to the bread and butter concepts that they run offensively, cutting to the basket, pick and roll, trying to get guys open, driving and kicking, and then turning defense into offense, trying to to play some physical defense, see what you can get away with defensively, and then when you get those steals, when you get those boards, run with them in transition and turn those into buckets. That has been the bread and butter for this team, and they leaned on it tonight. It wasn't working early, but they leaned on it, they stuck with it, and eventually they got that defense going, turned it into offense. And, you know, I keep using the word encouraging. I think it's very, very encouraging. I'm very impressed with the way that a lot of players on this team have been playing defensively in particular. And you could even say the same for the reverse for a guy like Isaac Okoro, right? Who you expect him to come in and play some good defense. I was impressed by his offense tonight, his ability to score off ball, but also get his teammates involved. He had 5 assists. I mean, that's really good for a player who's technically, you know, giving you defensive minutes in the starting lineup, right? Like, that's why he's there, is to give you really good defensive minutes, but he's also being unselfish with the ball and making sure that his teammates are getting involved when the shot isn't there for him. He's taking it when the shot is there for him and hitting it. What did he have? He had 3 3-pointers in this game, 3 threes for a guy that, you know, to start the season, 2 games, didn't even score a point. That's a big development. And it shows you the next man up mentality that this team has. You know, if someone doesn't have it going, if Io's not playing tonight, we need to pick up the slack elsewhere. Okoro was able to do that tonight. It wasn't Modest's best game offensively, but he had some clutch threes as well. So, I mean, like up and down, you know, it's like you have to, you can't just talk about a couple players. You have to talk about everybody, because everybody was getting involved. Everybody was doing their thing. And it took a team effort to come back from 24 points down against a good Sixers team, against a Sixers team that was playing super, super hot in that first half. It felt like they could not miss a shot. Edgecombe, you know, the electric rookie, and Maxey, who's one of the best guards in the league. Maxey had 39 points in this game. 53% from the field, 6 for 10 from 3. Maxey scored as many points as he played, and the Bulls were able to overcome that. And mind you, you know, this game started with what, like 40 points or something like that given up in the first quarter, and the Sixers only ended the game with 111. The Bulls really clamped down. Like, you see, we could go back to the game cast. Like, the Bulls really clamped down in that second half defensively. See if we can pull up maybe a scoring summary. Play-by-play. I'm sure that probably has it, right? Yeah. Show filters. So let's see. It's third quarter. Make and miss. Look at all those misses in the third quarter. Look at all the misses in the fourth quarter. Third quarter, fourth quarter. There you go. Way more misses than makes in the fourth quarter there for the Sixers. And as for the Bulls, more makes than misses. Oh, you couldn't even see the Sixers one. My bad. I gotta crop it. In the fourth quarter, Bulls clamped down. That was the Sixers' made field goals in the fourth quarter. That was their missed field goals in the fourth quarter. All right. Let's go back to the first quarter. That was their missed field goals in the first quarter. That was their made field goals in the first quarter. So, I mean, tale of two halves, right? But almost tale of like three quarters versus a fourth quarter. Just flinging bricks up there. Great win for the Bulls, though. Oh, yeah, here's the scoring summary. So, yeah, Sixers put up 45 points in the first quarter, and then between the second and third quarters only scored 50, and then they could only muster 16 in that final frame, whereas the Bulls, consistency, man. Consistency is what is getting the job done right now. Bulls scored at least 27 in each quarter. You can see Sixers decreased each quarter. They went from 45, 30, 20, 16. Slow and steady won the race tonight. Sixers tried to get off to that hot start. Bulls countered, came back. A very good win. Yeah, very good win. The Sixers did it. Yeah, Goro mentions in the chat the Sixers had an opportunity to win there at the end, but Bulls stuck it out. Bulls hung in there. We could get to some tape. We could even start with Herder defense.
Here's Weston right here. He's gonna square up, go right to the back.
This is offense.
Goes right over Embiid.
Gotta figure out how to label my files better.
Embiid's up in the air and a nice step through and finds Vooch.
Here in Chicago tonight. Bulls 4-0.
But he did have some nice offensive plays too, Herder. Let's find that Herder defense here. Herder block, yeah. And this is the steal, or the stare down. This is where Herder stares down. Look at this. On Watford. Gets the block, then stares him down. Red Velvet. We love the fire. Then some good defense from Dalen Terry. I hadn't even mentioned his name yet. Herder gets the putback here. Herder was really key to this comeback. I definitely want to make sure that he gets the credit he deserves. I don't think we make that comeback without Kevin Herder. Especially, again, giving the acknowledgement of the fact that Ayo Dosunmu was not playing in this game. But, yeah, Kevin Herder was clutch down the stretch for sure. And yeah, I mentioned Jalen Terry. We could mention Julian Phillips as well. Another couple guys that played and gave you some good defensive minutes. Offensively, not as much to say there necessarily for those two dudes, but we needed the defense tonight. We needed some defensive energy. The first half was not pretty, and they tightened things up in the second half, and that's what it's all about, man. All right, let's watch some more of this tape. Vooch tip. Yeah, Vooch was doing his thing. You saw them attacking Embiid. His legs, not what they used to be. See, he's just kind of quitting on the play there, really, like he's so big. He could be getting in Vooch's way, trying to box him out. He does not have that same energy that he used to have. And, it's understandable. He's gone through so many injuries at this point, but when the Bulls the Bulls finally picked up on the fact that they could attack that mismatch, and they started to attack that. Here's a really bad play. Like, Embiid, what are we doing here? What is that? Not even trying to attack the basket there. Some more Vooch defense on Embiid. See, there's nothing Embiid can do to get around Vooch. He just doesn't have that agility. Doesn't have the lateral speed like he used to. And here we go. Vooch is going to swat this one away. Swats it away. Giddey's right there. Embiid's not the guy he used to be, unfortunately. I did like watching him in his prime, but you can see just not quite the player he used to be there. This is Buzelis. There's a Grimes air ball. Bulls push it up court. Boozy, smooth swish. Love to see that. That was a clutch shot. Buzelis on defense. So in this play here, you see him. The play cuts off or starts right after he was doing this, but you can see right here at the beginning, Boozy is calling for the ISO on Maxey. He's saying, "I got Maxey." He's telling his teammates here, "No switch. Let me take Maxey." And I think Okoro in particular, because Okoro had been on Maxey most of the night. So you see he takes him through the perimeter. He's going to take him through a screen here. Fights through the screen well. Contests the shot. Does get a little bit of separation there, Maxey. But, Boozy has the long arms. He's able to still get the contest there. And then Speaking of long arms, let's watch this here. Maxey trying to go for a dagger here to put the Bulls out of range, or at least make it a 4-point game. I think this would have been. Buzelis blocks it. It's a bad shot. It's not a good shot, but that's length killing right there. That is all length killing. Sets up Vooch to hit the game winner, and that's how the Bulls won tonight. Was a little bit of everything from everyone. They got a little bit of everything from a little bit of everyone. Let's go back to Okoro. Okoro had some good plays. Okoro attacks the inbounds here. So Patrick Williams had a steal. Actually, I think Okoro kind of generated this steal to begin with, if I recall correctly. Let's see here. Yeah, Okoro creates this steal, which gets Patrick Williams down the court. P-Will puts it up. P-Will gets the score. The camera cuts away. While the camera's cutting away, Okoro's getting another steal right here and getting a putback. The camera guy, he fooled everybody. He fooled the camera guy, fooled everybody. Isaac Okoro. Some really, really positive developments after a rough start for him. Trey Jones, another guy who's given you some good minutes on both ends. Good passing, moving it around the horn, cutting. Jones off glass, off the top of the glass. It's a nice layup there. Nice little floater. We already watched Vooch defense on Embiid. So that's most of the fourth quarter stuff. I mean, Giddey had that steal I mentioned earlier. Josh Giddey getting involved on the defensive end, right? Coming up with a big play when we need it. Look at that. Being in the right place at the right time. Reading the opposing team's offense, where they're going with the ball, what they're trying to set up here. And that's communication too, right? Making sure that Trey Jones knows to shade onto Oubre. It's good stuff. It's good effort. It's good effort from players that aren't known for their defense. Vooch, Giddey, even Trey Jones to a lesser extent. I do think that he's been pretty solid defensively for the Bulls. But, you know, these are guys that haven't always gotten the shine in their careers that they've deserved. Like, you kind of have like a ragtag group of dudes here, right? Like Vucevic, a guy who's kind of been, you know, traded and cast away as someone that they couldn't win with, so he comes to Chicago, and then Bulls fans kind of have some thoughts about him. Giddey, same thing. The Thunder feel like they can't win with him in the playoffs. They move on from him. Patrick Williams, Bulls fans had kind of mentally moved on from him at a time. Kevin Huerter, another guy that, you know, goes to Sacramento, doesn't seem to work out. They kind of move on from him. Isaac Okoro in Cleveland, they feel like they can be better without him. They move on from him. Trey Jones, same thing in San Antonio. They had too many guards. They feel like they're about to be a perennial playoff team. They feel like they can move on from him. So like Jalen Smith, Pacers, they go to the finals after they move on from him. It's like you have all of these players now on this team that kind of come from those kind of, you know, chip on their shoulder kind of backgrounds, and that's not a bad thing. You know, they're playing for each other. They're playing because they want to see each other succeed because they know what they've all been through. And I think another aspect we've talked about before, but, you know, continuity, but the holdover of some of these guys from last year, like it's not something that just started in preseason this season. This progression started back after they made the Levine trade last season, around the All-Star break, when they really started committing to this younger, faster team. And you're seeing what they can do in a game against the other top team in the Eastern Conference. We're competing for the #1 spot in the East, and the Bulls, your Chicago Bulls, come out on top. First in Central Division. You love to see it. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the standings here. But yeah, I mean, what else are you guys seeing out there tonight? I mean, I know that a lot of people have been talking about, you know, making sure that we can get Kobe back healthy this season. And, you know, we got an update on Kobe White today. The update wasn't great. It wasn't bad, but just that he's going to be reevaluated in another 2 weeks, going to try to practice and hopefully play in 2 weeks. So maybe not reevaluated in 2 weeks, but the goal is for him to play in 2 weeks. I know some people are concerned about that. I'm trying to stay positive and, you know, hope that if there's no setback, as long as there's no setback, trusting what the training staff is saying, that he needs to ramp up slowly. You don't want to rush him back. You don't want to make things worse. You're already first in the Eastern Conference, right? You're playing some of the best defense in the East, some of the best defense in the league, truthfully. You are undefeated at home, 5-0 at home. And I mean, you're doing this without some of your top players. You're doing this without Kobe White, Zach Collins, Ayo Dosunmu tonight and in the last game. And doing it without those players, you know, with the idea that when they come back in, they're going to slot right back into what we're doing seamlessly. That's the hope, ideally. There's no way to know for sure, right? But the hope and the idea would be like, you can hold down the fort now. You can get off to a hot start now, and you can divvy up the workload as the season goes on. The guys who are, you know, performing at a high level right now, the guys like Vucevic, right? Guys like Josh Giddey, Trey Jones, like when Kobe, Zach Collins come back, they can take some of that pressure off of them. And that's the balance. That's the depth. It's a long season, guys. It's still very early, and, you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We've heard that a bunch too. You've heard that on the broadcast. I think Stacey King said it. So there's going to be a lot of ups and downs this season. There's going to be ups and downs in games this season, just like there was tonight against the Sixers. And having depth, having a wide range of skill sets on your roster is going to make the difference in a long season. So, I mean, we'll see how long the Bulls can keep this up. I don't think that they're going to be able to finish the season as the top team in the Eastern Conference, unfortunately. As much as I'd love to say, like, yeah, we're back and we're never looking back. You know, you saw tonight a good example of games where it can get away from them, and, you know, teams can beat up on different elements that we're weak at. You know, if we're missing Ayo Dosunmu, you know, try to get some threes on the perimeter. The Sixers were shooting really well from three in that first half, and you saw the absence of Ayo Dosunmu. You saw the presence that he makes, and the lack thereof it. You could also see the same thing with, you know, certain plays with Vucevic where they're trying to attack him defensively. So those games are going to happen. Those games are coming. We're playing the Bucks on Friday. We have to play Giannis, who is the top scorer in the league so far this season. And, you know, it's the Bucks, the team that has probably given us the most headaches in this current era of, like, AK and Mark Eversley being in charge. The Bucks have been the team that consistently has, like, kind of given us a tough time. You know, they eliminated us from the playoffs. We had the whole Grayson Allen thing when he was with them. And they just always play us tough. So Friday is going to be another good test for this team. We're going to see defensively really more of what they're made of. You know, trying to defend Giannis is going to be a big task. They've got some time. They've got an extra day to rest here in between now and then. But another test, you know, coming up against a division opponent, right? A team that we want to beat. If we want to keep, you know, this nice little lead here on top of the Eastern Conference, you got to beat the teams in your division, and the Bucks are one of the best. So more tests coming up for the Bulls. I think tonight was really exhilarating. You know, like it's the kind of game that you can't expect. That, like, you could have made some excuses for why they would have lost. You could have said Ayo Dosunmu's out. You know, you could have said this, you could have said that, but it's like they didn't take any excuses tonight. They fought, they won the game, and that's what a good team does. Next man up mentality, winning culture. That's the kind of shit that you can build on, and you can turn into a long-term, you know, culture identity for this team. and eventually try to attract other players that want to play in this kind of culture and identity. Other teams are picking up on it now. I think another element that shouldn't be overlooked is like teams are taking the Bulls more seriously. Coming into this game, the Sixers know that the Bulls want to defend home court. The Bulls are off to a hot start, especially at home, undefeated at home. The Sixers knew all these things. The Sixers hear people talking about us. They want to be talked about too. So what do? You silence them. In that second half, you come back and you silence them. You punch them back in the jaw. And I think that was the thing that the Sixers weren't prepared for. The Sixers weren't prepared for the Bulls to fight back like that and to punch them back like that. And that's something that teams are waking up to now. And the Sixers came into this game with a good game plan. The Bulls were able to adjust, made some adjustments at halftime, tightened up that defense, played with some more intensity, and they got the dub. They pulled it out. It's good stuff, guys. It's really good stuff early in this season. And we've mentioned it. There will be ups and downs. It's good to get the ups going right when the season starts, so you don't have to try to work on some ups, So, I mean, basically, you start the season hot, you get some good wins at the beginning of the season, so that when March comes, when April comes, you don't have to kick it into high gear to try to get some wins to eke out before the playoffs. You know, you can get that out of the way early in the season so that, maybe later on in the year, if the Bulls actually do keep, one of these playoff spots above the play-in, the 6th seed and lower. If you can stay in one of those top spots, maybe you have a chance to make an actual run into the playoffs. I'm thinking way too far ahead of myself, though. We got a lot to get through to get there. Been a wild ride to start the season. What's up, Jeff, in the Twitch chat? Wild ride to start this season. But tonight was another one of those games where Bulls fans can look around the rest of the NBA and be like, shit, this team is for real. The numbers that we're putting up, the things that we're doing defensively, it's real and it's sustainable, but they got to sustain it. Right? All of this comes with that big asterisk and caveat. They got to keep doing it. We got to see it consistently. But it's a good start to the season, guys. Like I said, we've got the Bucks coming up on Friday. I'm going to be here to cover that when we get to it, and any other updates between now and then. But I think that's all I got for now. I'll have some social media stuff up later, as I do, you guys know. Maybe some more clip reviews. Who knows? All kinds of fun stuff. You can follow me at ChiSportsRoss on all of the platforms. I'm going to hydrate. Jeff did the hydrate. Spotify and Apple. I got the ROSSCAST. Gonna see if I can get some Bucks intel from my guy Jackson. Thank you, Jeff, for the posture check. Gonna see if we can get some Bucks intel from my guy Jackson. We might try to do a little Bucks Bulls crossover podcast later this week. And yeah, guys, at ChiSportsRoss, all the platforms. Thank you guys for listening, watching, following along. I really do appreciate it. Covering the team all season long. I live tweet during the games. I'm posting clips all game long. So make sure you follow on all of the platforms. You don't want to miss it, because this team is actually kind of good now. And you actually don't want to miss it this time. Yeah, I think that's all I got. I'm having fun with this team. I'm enjoying what we're doing. Making me excited. I'm not feeling so pessimistic about their future anymore. Let's hope it stays that way. Knock on wood. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Take it easy. We'll talk.